Okay, I'm just going through a bunch of stuff, and I'm trying to put things together here. I want to show you a couple videos that I've kind of saved and been documenting a little bit, just because I'm trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together because it all fits together. The Bible is written so perfectly. You couldn't convince me any other way already. But if you go to Exodus, where the 10 Commandment, Exodus 20, and God spake these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God. I am the one, or I have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. We are in bondage again today. If you don't see it in the world, we are almost under slavery. But that is because we have transgressed the law. What does God say transgression of the law is? It is sin, right? That we wouldn't know what sin was if it was not for the law. He did not come to destroy the law, but to fulfill the law. And it also says that he did not come to destroy it. God forbid that we should destroy the law. But this Pope wants us to worship the climate on Sunday. And he wants us to worship the earth. And you go to the commandment, I think this is the third commandment, thou shalt have no other gods before me. So no other holy fathers other than him. And thou shalt not make any other graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above or in the earth beneath or underneath the earth earth beneath or that is in the waters or underneath the earth. That's interesting because here we are going to worship on the earth, what's in the earth, what's underneath, all those things. We're going to worship the climate. We're going to worship our Mother Earth. You Google that, and we're going to worship it. It says, remember my Sabbath day and keep it holy. Well, why are we changed from Sunday? Well, that man of perdition came to change times, dates, and laws. And he changed it. In the early Christian church, the Roman Empire made a decree that they would worship the day of the sun, Sunday. And for 1260 years, she filled her cup with the blood of the saints and the martyrs of Jesus, whoever kept Sabbath. And they were burned at the stake during the Dark Ages. And who was the fault of that? Rome. But if we're not supposed to worship anything or the Holy Father or anything, let's just take a look. I'm very thankful some people kept some videos here because the truth is getting deleted. 10 years ago, I could find a lot of this stuff, but it's getting very hard. Yeah.
All the nations bowed down.
All the nations bowed to the Pope here. Who's the Holy Father? Who are they bowing to? Boy, I would say that's lukewarm already. Very close.
Next nation.
They all came and kissed the feet and the hands of the Pope. It's interesting how they have deceived the nations throughout the years. This beast will get the last power for 3.5 years through climate. It's interesting. So now they want us to worship Climate Sunday. They want us to worship Climate Sunday. And you know what? The Christian church, the Protestant Christians are going to be deceived on this. That's why they will worship the beast that had the deadly wound but did live. And they will make an image to the beast, which is Climate Sunday. That's the image. That's the copy of God's day that he says, remember my Sabbath and keep it holy. But I wanted to show this one because this was a newer video and they made a statement here that I caught. And just listen to where
generous God, join with others in calling for our leaders to be courageous at COP26 and to take ambitious action for creation.
COP26 for our creation, again, our world, Climate Sunday, right? For creation. But COP26 just happened in August. So let's look at what they're doing. We'll get to that yet. That's COP26. But let's look at John Kerry here also who is a very big member of Congress in the United States. And I mean, all of them have fornicated. But let's see what he says.
How can the United States, as a superpower, and the Holy See, as a much smaller country, but nonetheless as a moral and spiritual authority, as a much smaller country, but nonetheless as a moral and spiritual authority.
Moral and spiritual authority, eh? Now listen to what he says.
Collaborate in the fight against climate change.
Well, Holy Father is one, if not one of the most powerful voices on the planet. And
look at that. So it's our moral and spiritual authority that they are going to give the Holy Father. Well, which Holy Father? I don't think it's going to be God for climate, right? I don't think it's going to be God. Listen again.
As a much smaller country, but nonetheless as a moral and spiritual authority. Collaborate in the fight against climate change.
Well, Holy Father is one, if not one of the most powerful voices on the planet. And he's been extraordinary in the eloquence of his call on people to
call on people for climate. They are, it's interesting, moral and spiritual authority. So he is above all. Listen to what else he says here. He says he says what he is.
Creation, that's his message. But because he is above politics and outside, he's above politics. He
is above politics. Who? This horn, the small horn of Revelations, the Vatican, that small little city. He is going to control the last 3.5 years and lock down the world because of climate and carbon and all sorts. If you haven't heard about climate change, you've been living under a rock for many years. And you know what? Some days I wish I was there too, actually. It's just amazing what's going on in the world. So he is above. You heard it, right? He is above.
Creation, that's his message. But because he is above politics
right, he's above. So now let's look at what, who is he talking about? Who is John Kerry talking about? Well, let's just see.
And asked why he came to visit Pope Francis, he said that he believed when it came to the climate crisis, Pope Francis is one of the great voices on the subject. He also talked about Pope Francis's encyclical Laudato Si, saying that it was, quote, a very, very powerful document, eloquent and morally very persuasive.
Very powerful document, that Laudato Si. I've been posting about that, trying to show you, because he has introduced Laudato Si to the United Nations. So this harlot is sitting on the beast, dressed in gold and scarlet and precious, and filled her cup, and she is dictating to the world with her Laudato Si for climate. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. So then you go to somebody else posted this video, but I thought it was a good one, and they're calling out the Antichrist. Our Prince Charles of Canada, the Crown of Canada, is calling on the nations and the private sector for vast military. It's interesting. And he is going to tell the same thing, that he is beyond the governments. He's above the governments. Who is he? Who is he that they are going to give this power to?
Know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the.
Vast military campaign. Now listen to what he says about where they need it.
To marshal the strength of the global private sector.
The global private sector. Well, so they're going to use trillions of dollars they're going to give to this man and give it to the private sector to marshal the private sector with that. That's interesting.
With trillions at his disposal.
Who is he? Who is he are they going to give all this money and power to?
Far beyond global GDP and with the greatest respect.
The greatest respect. The greatest respect. That's interesting that he gets the greatest respect. Who is he that they're giving such great respect for?
GDP and with the greatest respect beyond even the governments of the world's leaders.
Beyond even the government of the world leaders. Just like John Kerry said, he is above all governments. Whoa. So who is this man? Nobody's quite saying it, but if you look and you're watching, you will know. You know, the Bible says that it comes like a thief in the night, but you, brethren, will not be caught unaware that day. You will see what is coming.
Is the only real prospect of achieving fundamental economic transition.
Right. Yeah, they need this all to come into play. And so who is this man above all? Well, let's see. Oh, I wonder if he is the man of perdition, who has opposed himself above all that is called God, that is God, sitting in the temple of God, stewing himself. He is God. He is the last beast of Babylon, the dragon, that will make the world worship the dragon and the image. You know what? Makes sense to me. Very hard to see them, but they're talking about some kind of document, but I'm sure it's about climate because that's, you know, it's interesting. You know, it's interesting too that, you just even look here. The kings of the earth will commit fornication with him and they will drink the wine of her fornication. I don't know if you can see this, but Vice President meets with Pence meets with Pope. Angela Merkel meets with Pope from France. And like all the kings of the earth. Here's Justin Trudeau meeting with the Pope on climate. And you know, the deadly wound hasn't been totally healed, but it is almost healed. Almost healed already. That these world leaders have committed fornication and that whore is sitting on the United Nations. I'm telling you, Protestants, it is time to wake up and start studying. If you don't see our world falling apart, I'm praying for you, brothers.